Hi, I'm Gerry Lishin. Just wanted to capture some of the basics. I call them basics, but really for me it's all about things I wish teachers would have told me right from the get-go in yoga, and would have helped my whole thought process through my yoga lifetime. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. I felt like we needed to capture it. This is the stuff I try and get the seeds planted in all the students coming into my studio. This is the seed, the thought seeds that I want to germinate over time. And you go, aha, it's little aha moments. So hopefully you enjoy it. The very first seed is the concept of breath awareness, as breath awareness being so integral to doing yoga. So if someone can walk into any studio setting, establish a breathing pattern, carry that breathing pattern throughout the entire class as presented, no matter what you do with your body, it makes no difference. If you can do the entire class without losing your breathing pattern, that is good yoga, and people just don't realize that. That's how integral, that's how interwoven breath is with yoga. So, good. Just wanted to lay that out there. There's tons of pranayama workshops to go to, promote breath awareness workshops. That's great for people to learn about alternate nostril and bandhas and all kinds of great stuff. So realize that. I want people to realize that. First step into breath awareness is building the pauses into the normal inhale-exhale cycle. What's the one thing in life we do subconsciously from the moment we're born? Breathe. You flip over your existence, your conscious existence, by becoming aware of your breath during yoga. So you inhale, pause, exhale, pause, and so on and so forth. You build in the cycle with inhales, exhales, and pauses in between. Learn to play with the proportionality of the pauses and the inhales and the exhales, and that's a nice way to work your depth of your awareness of every aware breath. I constantly say quality breaths over quantity breaths. If you can take quality breaths once per hour over quantity, you're going to do yourself wonders, okay? So getting back to the basics of breath. 4-part breathing, building the pauses in. Very fundamentals of breath. There's 2 ways to breathe. There's abdominal breathing, there's thoracic breathing. Abdominal cavity, thoracic cavity. The diaphragm is what tells your lungs to fill lower end or upper end of your lungs, is how the diaphragm can choose where your next breath is going to go. Belly breathing is relaxing, restorative, recuperative yoga. It's wonderful. Chest breathing is energizing, elongating for more vinyasa power style yoga or lengthening yoga. So realize there's 2 types of breathing. A lot of students get confused. Belly breathing is always at the end of any class during Savasana, or if the entire class is restorative, belly breathing. Rib breathing when you need to energize and twist and detox and work harder. So that's the main 2 ways to breathe. Belly breathing, chest breathing. I like to promote, I teach a lot of vinyasa flow, so for me it's all about V-shape, drawing back and open every inhale, exhale cycle. Okay. Play with the whole concept of the Ujjayi style breathing if you're in the vinyasa style world. So learn to snore slightly, sit the air through your tongue, through the back of your throat, all that good stuff. That's what pranayama workshops are for. A lot of people, I've noticed a lot of teachers don't talk about what I consider the basics of energy awareness through breath awareness. Say you need energy. And I figured this out kind of like on my own because I work with a lot of athletes. Say you need some energy, or you need to promote some energy awareness. You do that by stacking your inhales. So inhale, pause, exhale, pause. Inhale again, pause. Inhale on top of it, pause. Exhale, pause. Big inhale, pause. Big inhale, pause. Big inhale, pause, and exhale. That should give you a feeling of you're stacking, you're hyper-oxygenating your brain, you're stacking your oxygen. It gives your body a signal that, hey, I want to work. I want to work in the next couple of moments. Say you have a tough day and you need to invert that, and you need to relax. You've got a tough day tomorrow, you got monkey mind, it's racing around, you got to fly tomorrow, or whatever. You can invert that by controlling your exhales. So here's how you do a relaxing breath. Inhale, pause. Exhale, pause. Inhale completely, pause. Exhale half of it out, pause. Exhale the rest of it out, pause. Big inhale, pause. Exhale 1/3, pause. Exhale another third, pause, and another third, pause. That should make you feel like you're going down the ladder. You're ramping down your oxygenation through your system. So realize that. So inhale, stack your inhales for energy, control your exhales for relaxation. The last thing I teach is cooling breath. I'm in Florida, so I teach cooling breath. Cooling breath for me, I work with athletes that are stuck outside a hot day, or they're competing and they just need to cool down. They're ready to take a penalty kick or something. Try this cooling breath. So you do that the same way a dog pants with its tongue. You can do that as a human. Stick your tongue on the roof of your mouth, slurp the air underneath the moisture of your tongue with an open mouth, close down your mouth, exhale through the nose. Inhale, slurp. Exhale, nose. That drives the cool air past your nasal membranes close to your brain. So it's basically a nice way to get a cooling effect in your head and calm down and slow down the moment. So try that. So stack your inhales for energy, control your exhales for relaxation, and cooling breath to cool down and slow down the moment. And just find the moment. So good. So next thing I wanted to lay down basics is bone stacking and pelvic awareness. Bone stacking is pretty darn simple. Stack the bones, joints over joints, wrists under elbows, ankles under knees. John Friend from the Ansar world says it this way: skin wraps muscle, muscle wraps bone. But I add to that, don't let the muscle of the leg vibrate. Don't let the muscle vibrate. Instead, momentarily lock the leg back off the lock and let the bones take the weight. That will so much improve your stability while balancing and doing postures. So bones take the weight. Muscles make the minor adjustments. Think about the concept of not bringing your knee too far forward beyond the ankle. This is a pet peeve for a lot of teachers. When you get to this knee forward position, you're basically working your knee too much. So you get to the vertical position, then walk the other foot out instead, no matter what you're doing. So vertical position on the knee angle. Another thing I see a lot of teachers do, please realize it, every time you do any kind of slow arm sweep forward, this cantilevered weight out here forces your students to contract their deep lower backs. I don't know about you, but so many people's lower backs are so tight, the last thing they need is to contract more. So I don't mind arm sweeps, but just do them gently and quickly and open, not slow contracted, because all it's forcing is a contracted lower back. So consider that. So bone stacking and arm sweeping and knee position. The next thing I want to talk about is the whole idea of your pelvic position. Lately I've kind of figured out that I use the whole analogy of a pelvic bowl. Is the water spilling forward out of the pelvis? Is the water spilling backward out of the pelvis? Or is the water neutral in the pelvis? So think about that. It might help your students realize pelvic position, a pelvic bowl of water. Okay, so that might help. So good. We've covered that. The next thing I want to talk about is the longitudinal and lateral placement of your feet on the mat. There's many styles of yoga. I'm taking it to the next level up as far as there's heel to heel, there's heel in line, there's whatever, there's square hip. I'm taking it back to the next other level in the sense of get your students thinking about the fundamentals of lateral foot placement. Because if your feet are too much in line, you're going to basically be tightrope walking. And you're going to be developing these very tight outer hips, controlling your weight. So when I tell people just laterally move your feet to at least hip width apart, just to square up and gain some balance. Okay, so that's lateral placement. The second aspect of foot placement on a yoga mat is longitudinal stride. So, simple stride. I like to consider playing with your hips. A good stride is when you can still play with your hips. What I consider good. It's going to be good, it's going to be playful. Hip play. Second, I see more and more people, just because they can, they go really crazy deep. Yes, I can go really crazy deep, fine, but all I've done is locked my thighs. Okay, yes, it might look cool, but all I've done is locked my thighs. at some point it's counterproductive. Try and get people to realize that, okay? That's all I'm asking. So, just to review, lateral spacing is relative to tightrope walking. Longitudinal stride is relative to what you want to work. If you take a shorter stride, you're working the lower muscles of the attachment points. If you're taking a longer stride, you're working the upper muscle attachments. So the last thing I wanted to cover was the concept of most postures are either open hip or closed hip. So open hip, closed hip. So open hip would be, my thighs are trying to roll open to the camera. Okay, that's open hip position. When I square around and have my hip leading towards my lead leg, that's closed hip. Open hip, closed hip. I try and impart in my students the concept that very rarely do your hips point some funky 45 degrees. They're either coming around to the closed hip position or they're opening up to the open hip position. How I teach that biomechanically in a healthy way is I simply do a simple two-positional body awareness technique. I get them in a nice little crescent lunge. Let them twist vertically. Put their hands wherever they're going to go. Call that position A. Now simply straighten the front leg, spin down the heel, release the hip, position B. Position A, position B. Position A, position B. It's going to teach your students healthy hip awareness. Where are my hips going? Where am I putting them? It also is going to teach them the interactiveness of breath with motion, of course. So showing you from the front, left leg, position A, position B. A and B. Cool. Hopefully that helps. Wanting to capture these, what I consider the fundamentals, stuff people would have, wish they would have told me 20 years ago. Right from the day one, I could have had a better chance to have a nicer lifetime of good, great, fun, passionate, beautiful yoga. Thank you guys very much. Enjoy the notebooks. Yoga Teachers Notebook, Yoga Students Notebooks are available on hardcover. The Yoga Students Notebook is available on Nook and Kindle now as an ebook. It's great for teachers and students. It's got some cool, insertable, useful quotes and tips and things you can just insert in the class that might help get some seeds into your students of thought process. So, thank you very much. Take care.